Suddenly, she came close to me as she grasped my hand and looked up with her serious face. I was held captive by her tearful eyes. And then, with resolve, I opened my mouth to speak. When she heard my words, she rubbed up against me. Her face was so adorable, I knew I would never forget her at this moment. There was a girl at my school, feared by everyone and the most beautiful bad girl. Her name was Ella Smith. Flowing long hair, a small face, big round eyes with long lashes. A classic beauty. Nearly everyone who met her would say she's beautiful. But she came with rumors. She never lost a fight. If you crossed her, you would see hell. If I tried to list them all, it would never end. The scary rumors were abundant. That's why no one dared to approach her. She was always alone. But the truth was, she was my childhood friend. We were in the same class in kindergarten. We played together until about the second grade. We lived close by, and every day we walked to and from school together. Little Ella used to say, "My mom's always away because of her work." Whenever she said that, she looked truly sad, so I stayed by her side, hoping to make her smile. Since we started elementary school, I often helped Ella with her studies. She struggled with studying, but she never hated it. Whenever she solved a problem, her joy made me happy too. Spending time with Ella, whether playing or studying, was so much fun, I couldn't help it. But in the third grade, my parents were relocated, and I had to change schools. As Ella cried, "I'll be lonely," I hugged her tight. "Don't worry, we'll always be friends. If you ever need help, I'll come running," I told her. Looking back now, I think what an irresponsible thing I said, but as a third grader, I truly meant it. Even after I moved, I remember worrying if Ella was crying. That Ella, whom I adored, I met again at the high school entrance ceremony. Growing up from the cute girl she was, Ella had become a beautiful young woman. Her gaze was a bit sharper than before, but I recognized her instantly. But she looked like a complete bad girl. Compared to when she was young, I was a bit shocked at the change, but I was happy to see her again. So I mustered up the courage and spoke to her. "Ella White, I'm Oliver Brown. Remember me? It's been a while. How have you been?" When Ella looked at me, she frowned noticeably, and then she yelled, "I don't know you." Her momentum left me frozen in place for a while. But leaving me behind, Ella quickly walked away. That was the last time I spoke to Ella. Ella started skipping school towards the end of the first year of high school. I wondered what happened, but of course, I couldn't ask her. By the time I was a senior, Ella had been held back a year. I figured she hadn't attended enough days, but there were also rumors that she was held back because of too many fights. Everyone was scared, but even though Ella was a bad girl, I was worried about her. I couldn't forget how Ella cried when I moved away in third grade because she was lonely. To me, even if she became a bad girl, she was still the crybaby Ella. Besides, I was curious about how Ella became a bad girl. But time passed without me being able to talk to Ella, and my graduation was approaching. Just as we were nearing graduation, unexpectedly, Ella began to talk to me. At the time of school dismissal, Ella, who had been waiting for me near the lockers, asked, "Can I ask you something?" She then grabbed my hand, bewildered as I was, and pulled me into an empty classroom. As I stood there surprised, Ella suddenly fell to her knees in front of me. "Heck, why are you kneeling down?" While I was in turmoil, Ella, with her head bowed, loudly asked, "Please teach me how to study." I didn't understand the situation, so I decided to ask her the reason. Then she began to say something unexpected. I want to become a nurse. It seems that Ella lives with her mother. She got divorced when Ella was a baby. Ella's father, apparently, was a violent man. Ella's mother worked desperately hard and raised Ella. Maybe that's why Ella used to say Mom is never at home when she was little, because she was busy working. Despite calling ourselves childhood friends, I had no clue about these circumstances. Ella's mother got into an accident and suffered a severe injury. This was when Ella was a freshman in high school. Although her mother is now discharged from the hospital, Ella had to miss school frequently due to taking care of her mother, accompanying her for rehabilitation, and working part-time to secure their living expenses, which led to her having to repeat a grade. So, it wasn't fights or any other similar problems after all. When I heard Ella's story, I felt indescribable emotions. While I was casually attending school, Ella and her mother were struggling hard. It must have been tough. Ella simply nodded in response to my words. Well, she's discharged from the hospital now. Back then, we had insurance, so we got some money from that, and also from the person who caused the accident. We somehow managed, but life was already hard, and with the added living expenses, I had to work part-time. As a result, I could hardly attend school and ended up repeating a grade. How is your mom doing now? Upon my question, Ella's face brightened. Yeah, she's doing great now. She worked hard at her rehabilitation. Her injury was severe, so she can't push herself too much, but she found a job at a call center where she can work sitting down. So, I quit my daytime job and have been able to go to school. Ella started to think about her future now that she was able to go to school. She wanted to become a nurse, the profession that supported her and her severely injured mother. Do you think it's impossible for someone like me to aim to be a nurse? When Ellie asked in a small voice, I hurriedly denied it. There's no way that's true. You've been through a lot, Ella. That's why you'll make a great nurse. At my words, Ella showed a smile, but she had repeated a grade, and even before that, she didn't focus much on her studies. Even her high school teachers told her that the path to nursing might be tough. The teachers told me that a rebel like me couldn't become a nurse, that it's too late for me to catch up on my studies, but I just can't give up. Ella clenched her fists tightly. Being dismissed by her high school teachers for being a rebel and told her dream was impossible must have hurt. That's when I remembered you. I mean, Oliver. Me. When I asked back, not understanding the meaning, Ella nodded. You said you would fly to my rescue if I was ever in trouble. I was taken aback at that moment. That was something I had told Ella when we were in the 3rd grade, when I was moving away. So, you did remember me after all. Why did you act like you didn't know me at the entrance ceremony? At my words, Ella turned away in a huff, and then she said, a bit petulantly, because if people knew you were friends with someone like me, they might look at you weirdly too. What if you get bullied again? When Ella said that, I remembered our kindergarten days. Back when we were in kindergarten, I was chubby, and my friends called me fatty and bullied me. The one who stood up for me back then was Ella. Even though she had become a high schooler, Ella was worried that I might get bullied, and she tried to distance herself from me. I felt relieved. Ella started to use riffer language and became a lone wolf. But she's still the same kind-hearted girl she was when we were younger. She's always been considerate of others. I sincerely thought I wanted to be on Ella's side. All right, I'll help you with your studies, I said. Ella's eyes sparkled. Really? Are you sure? Of course, I'll rush over if you're having trouble. I promised, didn't I? You're in trouble right now, so I'll be there to help. Seeing Ella's happy face made me happy too. From that day on, I started helping Ella so she could pass her nursing school entrance exam. By the way, I asked Ella why she had become a so-called delinquent, but she didn't really know either. She said, I've always tried to help anyone being bullied. As I kept doing that, people started to fear going against me, said I was good in fights, and so on. That might have led to the delinquent label. Apparently, she had never actually been in a fight. When I asked if she wanted to clear up the misunderstanding, Ella said, I'm not interested. I don't care what people who don't really know me say. As long as my important people understand me, that's enough, she added. As someone who always worries about what others think, I found Ella's steadfastness quite cool. I know that you're kind-hearted, Ella, and that you're working hard towards your dreams, I told her. Then Ella laughed and said, Ahaha, that's a bit embarrassing, but I'm happy. Thank you. Seeing Ella's beautiful smile, my heart wouldn't stop pounding. And at that moment, I realized that my feelings for Ella were romantic. Most of the time, Ella and I studied in my room. Ella seemed reluctant to go to places like coffee shops because it cost money, and since I was living alone after graduating from college, my place was just right. Ella's progress in her studies was indeed a bit slower than her peers, but she didn't hate studying, so she absorbed everything like a sponge when I taught her. I could tell that she was studying hard even on days when she didn't meet me and carefully revising the parts she got wrong. Watching Ella focus on her studies reminded me of the old days when I used to teach her. She was still in elementary school then, but even at that time, Ella seemed to enjoy learning from me. I enjoyed teaching Ella, and I started to feel comfortable spending time with her. One day, Ella texted me, "I'll be late due to committee work." We were supposed to study at my house that evening. It was the start of winter, and it was getting dark early, so I decided to pick Ella up from school. As an alumnus, I was allowed to enter the school building with a visitor's pass. When I peeped into her class that I heard about every day, I found Ella there, but she wasn't doing any committee work. She was alone in the empty classroom, wiping down desks. She was diligently erasing graffiti from a desk. When I took a closer look at the desk, I saw it had words like "po-delinquent," "dumb," and "old woman" written on it. I instantly thought, this is bullying, and I felt a surge of anger. I then confronted her. Ella was surprised at my sudden appearance. Why are you here?" "That doesn't matter now. That's bullying, right?" Ella glanced down at the desk and said nonchalantly, "I don't know, maybe. Are you being bullied by someone? Do you know who it is? I'll catch them for you." At my fury, Ella smiled. "What's so funny?" "Well, you used to be the one I saved from bullies. You've become strong," she said. I was embarrassed when she spoke to me like a mother, but it was true, so there was nothing I could do about it. Times have changed. You can at least stand up to bullies now. You probably just want to mock me because I, a former delinquent, have started to study all of a sudden. With college entrance exams approaching, you must be stressed out, aren't you?" With a detached air, Ella said that, "There's no way we can let things continue like this. I've already talked to the teacher. If it's affecting your studies, we'll take measures, but for now, let's leave it to the teacher. Wasting time on a witch hunt is pointless. Instead, I'll focus on my studies. I'm behind everyone else, so every second is precious to me." After hearing these words, I calmed down. It was wrong for me to be this fired up when the actual victim, Ella, was so calm. Ella didn't care about the bullying. She was totally focused on her dream. I admired her for being so cool. And I realized at that moment, yes, I really liked her. The only thing I could do for the girl, it was helping her study for the exams. Ella and I crammed together for the upcoming entrance exams. She got accepted into her school of choice. On the day we found out about her acceptance, she came to my house. I already knew about her acceptance from a phone call beforehand, so I had prepared a meal and a cake to celebrate. When I opened the front door, she came right up to me and said, "Tell me that you love me." I didn't know how to react when the girl I liked suddenly approached me and said that. As I hesitated, she grabbed my arm, looked up at me seriously. I could tell that despite her strong gaze, she was somewhere nervous. Looking into her eyes, I made up my mind. I gently entangled her hand from my arm, held both of her hands tightly, and said, "I love you, Ella. I love your kindness, your dedication to your dreams, and your hard work. I want to be with you, not as a friend or childhood friend but as a boyfriend." Without saying a word, Ella hugged me and rubbed her head against me. Whether she was moved or hiding her embarrassment, I wasn't sure, but it was a very adorable gesture. From that day, Ella and I became a couple. Later on, I found out that Ella knew I liked her. She said she could tell because sometimes there was a certain warmth in my eyes when I looked at her. "It was so obvious by the way you looked at me that you liked me. It was crystal clear." I felt embarrassed when she told me that, but it was true, so there was nothing I could do to deny it. Ella had the same feelings, but she had decided to focus on the exams until they were over. It was just like her, and when I heard that, I fell in love with her all over again. Now we are parents of 2 kids. Ella, with no traces of her delinquent past, is a kind and caring nurse and a mother. We live with Ella's mother, so we're a family of 5. Every day is lively and happy. How was that? Subscribing to our channel will be a great motivation for us. See you in the next video.